Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Hey, I'm just a little bit unclear, I guess, on the pro-life position. I was hoping that I'd be able to get you to help me understand it a little bit better. I have just a question or
Sure.
two.
And I'm not speaking for all pro life people, but essentially myself. And I think a lot of the things that I believe cross over, but I'm not the
Yeah,
spokesman.
no. Yeah, of course, of course. So one question I had is earlier you mentioned that you place value on human life, and my first question is, do you value human life by itself or in conjunction with like other things, or is it just human life,
Just human life.
barring
Yeah.
anything else, is going to have value? Okay, okay, that makes sense. And then
Yeah.
um, when you say human life, because you were differentiating it from like the cancer cells and stuff, so by human life you mean something like um, you mean
Something that
something
can
like
become just like you and I.
a unique DNA code, right?
Or, yeah, or something that will develop and go through the process of development to become like you and I.
Well, I don't think that you would say like I don't think you would say that, right? Because if it's just something that
I
will
just
go
did
through the
say that.
process, well, I'm just if you say something that like will go through the process to develop, that could be a given sperm will develop to go through the process, but you place value on like
No,
the
it's not.
uniqueness
So
of the
like,
DNA
it's
code.
a sperm isn't unique, separate human life.
Yeah, yeah,
The
that's what
human
I'm
life
saying.
the human life begins at conception. Like that's all. That's not my opinion. That's all of science, right?
No,
Human life
no,
begins at conception.
you're good. No, you're good. So I'm just trying to understand here. So the reason why I said it's not just the potential is because of that. Yeah, the sperm doesn't have the unique DNA code. So it's not just the potential, it's the potential and the unique DNA code.
Right. Well, that'd be like saying, well, what about oxygen, or what about drinking water, or eating food? Yeah, yeah. All of these things
Yeah,
are
yeah.
are,
So
are
so
byproducts of human life, but that's not what human life is.
yeah, no, sure, sure. So if you're valuing human life simplicator and then human life is just a unique DNA code
No, no,
with the
no. It's not that.
potential.
Human life would be
No,
that which can grow into
with the
becoming like you and
potential,
I.
I said a unique DNA code with the potential to become like you and I. Is that not what
Yes,
your
yes.
position
That's
is?
perfect. That's perfect.
Okay, well, you cut me off before I could finish stating your position. Um,
Yeah. Yep.
so
So let's keep going.
my question then is like, because this is a conjunct of two things, if one of these criteria are not met, moral value won't be met by the criteria you gave. So that means that if there's not a unique DNA code, but it does have the potential to become like us, then you would still have to value it. So
Yes.
you would not be able to value it because one horn of the conjunct is not being met, right?
Which part?
If there was something that had the potential to be like you or I, but did not have a unique DNA code, because one horn of your conjunct is not met, then you it would not meet the
How
criteria for moral
how can it
consideration.
not have it? How can it not have a unique DNA code?
So like we could take an identical twin, for instance.
They have unique DNA codes.
What do you mean by unique DNA code? Because they have
Yeah, all of
identical
their
DNA to
DNA
their
is not
siblings.
100% the same. They have unique
Are you,
DNA codes. They
are
also
you
have
what are you?
unique finger. They also have unique
Well,
fingerprints. What's the
hold
point?
on, hold on. So when you're referring to unique DNA code, we have to be like clear what you mean here. Like, are you talking about they have different like mutations in the DNA
Yeah, I
within their
mean not
body?
exactly the same. That's what I mean by unique, as in not exactly the same.
Or I'm asking what part of it's not exactly the same.
Any part.
Okay, that's vague. So I'm just gonna modify the hypothetical to make it like a little bit harder to wiggle out of because I do think that you're wrong on the facts on that one. But we can take a conjoined twin who does have the same fingerprints, 100% of shared DNA, including their chromosomes, like the sex chromosomes. And you would say that it would be okay to cut off the head of one of these conjoined twins because it's not going to be a unique DNA code.
It'll have its own unique DNA. Even conjoined
It will
twins
not.
have that. Yes, they
It will
do.
not.
Even
No, it
even
won't.
conjoined twins or Siamese twins have unique DNA.
No,
That's
they
why
don't. They share
often they
100.
have to
They
be
share
severed, is
one.
because their DNA is in conflict. That's
They
one of the
ha- they
reasons why
share.
Siamese twins don't often survive.
Did you know that there's more than one type of conjoined twins?
Yes, I know there's different types of twins. None of
Yeah,
them,
and some of them share.
unless you can cite any where something has the same exact DNA as another individual, but I don't think you can
Yeah,
do that.
no, they do. They do. Like if they're like
So
they share
cite for me one
100%.
example where two people have the exact same DNA.
Let me go on my computer quick. Can you give me like 5 minutes to pull that up for you?
Yeah, I'll bring you back once you find it.
Irma is telling you the truth here. So this is what I found. So this is
Okay.
from Robert Resnick. Resnick, MD, multiple gestation, clinical characteristics and management. It says conjoined twins are a subset of monozygotic twin gestations. That's what I was looking. That's what I was trying to tell you earlier. You know what monozygotic twins are, right?
No, I haven't heard the term monozygotic.
Well, it's just mono meaning one, and then zygotic meaning zygote. So one zygote, one sperm and one egg, and then that one sperm and one egg has an incomplete split. That's the other kind is dizygotic, where there's two sperms and two eggs. Those are the ones that are going to have different DNA. Monozygotic is going to have two copies of the same DNA.
So we could say monozygotic would be any conjoined twin.
Yes, and every single conjoined twin is monozygotic.
Okay.
And the reason why this is relevant is because if you want to appeal to them still having some type of different DNA code, you're not talking about the initial genetic sequence that they got from the mother and father. What you're talking about is either genetic mutations or epigenetics. And if you define a different genetic code as different genetic mutations or epigenetics, then what happens is if I cut off my arm, that has different genetic mutations than the rest of my body and different epigenetics. So you're classifying that as a different person. That's why it's like not a good way to define it.
No, because you're cutting off your arm won't grow into a human being, won't grow into a bipedal hominid.
Well, let's be careful. You said that the criteria for moral value was potential to be like us and human being, but your definition of human being was just a unique DNA code. So it wouldn't get moral value. But
no, my definition of human being is not just is a unique DNA code that grows and develops and becomes like you and I. Remember?
Oh, so if you conceived then, and then that zygote that you conceived of miscarried, then it was never a human being.
No, it was a human being. It was a human being that died.
No, what? So wait, so you actually have a contradiction on your view then? It's both a human being is something which will grow to be like us, and a human being is not something that will grow to be like us. So your view is just going to be false then.
Oh no, it's growing to become like us. It just dies in that process.
Wait, you said that a human being is something that will grow to be like us. If it dies in utero, it will not grow to be like us. It was never the case that it will grow to be like us.
Okay, so let's change the word will to can.
To can? I don't. So what do you mean by can?
Well,
can
can grow and become like us. A cancer cell cannot grow and become like us.
Fuck. Okay, I can go down this route, but it's weird because you said you believe in God, so that's actually going to produce another weird thing on your view. Because if God is all powerful,
I haven't used God in my argument at all.
No, I never said that you used God in your argument. But if you believe in God, then it's
so
actually the case
that any. No,
because listen. You're cutting me off. You would understand what I'm saying if you let me explain it. You are cutting me off. Yes, because what I'm saying is
purpose.
Yeah, I know you're doing it on purpose. So the issue here is that if you believe that that God is all powerful, then it's actually everything has the possibility to be like us because God could make it so.
No, your arm doesn't have the ability to become like us.
Is God not powerful enough to make my arm grow into another person?
I don't know.
And you don't know if God's powerful enough to make my arm grow into another person?
And that's not my argument.
Because you said can. You said it has the possibility.
Nothing to do with God.
You said that something has the possibility to be like us.
Yes. And what does that have to do with God?
If an all-powerful God exists, anything has the possibility to be like us.
Sure. And if a lizard has the ability to be a wizard, then I guess that could happen too. What's your point?
My point is that your view is self-defeating.
But I'm not using God in my argument, so why are you making me?
So long as you hold that belief, then you have that inconsistency in your.
But none of my belief has interjected into my stance of why abortion is wrong.
Do you not believe in an all-powerful God?
Whether I do or don't, it's inconsequential.
Well, it's just going to produce absurdity on your belief system.
Well, we can debate my belief system, I guess, in a separate argument.
Well, because it's relevant because you invoked this concept can, and When you say can,
What
you actually
what does
you would mean
does
something
can
that's
have to do
possible.
with believing in God?
Can has to do with something that it could possibly happen.
Yes, but does that have to do with anything about believing in God?
It does, because if you believe in God, then anything can possibly
No,
happen.
because something can be doesn't mean you believe in God.
But that's not what I said. That's something completely different than what I said.
I'm using the words that you're saying and rearranging them so they can be simplistically understood. You're saying can
Can refers to possibility,
is a
no?
situation in which makes you believe in God. I haven't used
I,
God in any of my arguments. I
I
don't know
never
why
made the
you're bringing
argument
it
that
up.
I never made the argument that can commits you to believing in God.
If
I
you would
made the
like to
argument.
create my argument and fight against the argument of me which you created, go at it.
Well, no, this is your position.
It's not.
Does can refer to possibility?
Yes.
If can refers to possibility, then if anybody, it doesn't matter if they inject it into their argument. If you hold the position that an all-powerful God exists, then anything is in that possibility. If it's logically possible, then it could happen.
You
So my
don't
arm
know what
could.
I believe God. No, you don't know what I believe God is. You don't know what I believe God is capable of. You don't know
So
what I
you
believe God's plan for us is.
is God.
You're creating an effigy of what you want me to believe God is, and then
Well,
fighting against that effigy that you created.
you could just say that you don't believe that God is all-powerful. Then
It has nothing to do with my argument. See, you're losing this so bad, you're having to invent an argument to fight me against.
I'm not inventing an argument. I only.
I'm not.
Oh, because I heard you mention it earlier that you had a belief in God. So if you have a belief in God, it's going to produce an absurdity on your view.
So my view of when life begins, of how gestation goes, of the process of human development, that is questionable because I believe in God.
It's questionable because if you believe that a human is something that has the possibility to be like us, then dirt is a human because God could
No,
form dirt into a human.
it does. Do you believe that an embryo has the ability to become like us? Yes or no?
Oh, some embryos, yeah.
Yeah. Do you believe that they have the possibility to become like us? Yes or no?
Some embryos, yes.
Okay. That answers every question.
That doesn't answer every question because my position doesn't depend on that. Yours does. So it doesn't actually matter what I believe. It
No,
matters what you believe.
but it's not. That's not my. You just agreed with that position.
Oh, no, I didn't agree with your position. I agree that they have the potential for life. I don't value that.
Right. That's agreeing with. So you don't believe in the potential. You don't believe in life. You don't believe that life begins at conception.
I didn't say that either.
So okay. So then, what are we arguing?
We're arguing that if you hold a position where anything that has the possibility to be like us gets moral value, then you're going to be committed to saying anything has moral value, unless you say that you don't believe in an all powerful God.
Yes, anything that has the ability to become like us has value.
And that's anything. That's dirt, that's grass, that's
No,
like
a
anything.
dirt can't become like us.
Could God make a dirt into a human?
No, dirt can't become like us.
That's not what I asked.
I don't know why you're trying to make me defend a position of God that you've created.
Well, no, I'm asking you. You can just say that's not your position of God, that God could not make a human out of dirt.
How about we say this? How about we say that I don't believe in God at all? Now try to continue.
Okay, if you don't believe in God at all, then I don't think that you're going to fall like issue to that specific absurdity. But as far as possibility, I have a hard time saying that if some action like being like us is not in the set of things that that organism will ever do, then I don't think that it has that possibility. So I would still say that like a zygote that miscarries before it becomes a human does not have the possibility because the action of being like us was never in the set of actions that that organism was going to do.
Pre death or post death?
Pre.
No, it does. All life goes through that stage and cannot go to that stage without that.
No, but we can say this. We can even say that it has some heart condition where we know that it's going to, where we know that it's going to die in like the 20th week. We already know that it's going to die. So now it's not possible for it to be like us.
Now we're arguing
It's
medical
not
necessity.
possible.
I've already argued medical necessity.
I'm
We
not
heard that
arguing
argument
medical
already?
necessity. You're so scatterbrained that you like are thinking I'm talking about a
No,
different topic than
just
I'm
because
actually
you're not
talking
making
about.
the linear connection doesn't mean I'm scatterbrained. It means you are incapable of seeing the linear connection to
Wait,
this
I said
logic.
nothing about medical necessity. That's not what I said. The mother's life is not
You're
in
saying
danger,
a
okay?
baby dying, right? You're saying a baby dying in utero, correct?
Yeah, but I'm saying nothing about whether or not it justifies abortion. So it's not a medical
That's
necessity
called
question.
medical necessity.
I know, because I'm not asking whether or not you should or shouldn't abort it. That's not the question I'm asking. If you actually listened, you would understand the question that I'm asking. The
Okay,
question
okay,
that I'm
okay. Then what is
asking,
your question?
if your definition of a human is someone who will be like us, and we know that it's not possible for this to be like us because it will die in the 20th week, is it not a human pre-death?
We don't know that,
No, but if we did, I said if we did.
but we don't.
That's not relevant. I said if we did.
I can't argue a make believe with an actual reality answer.
The
Unless you
conclusion
want to
still
make
follows
believe
from
question, unless you
hypothetical
want to make believe
syllogisms. You
answer.
just no. A conclusion can still follow from a hypothetical syllogism. What are you talking about?
No, I cannot. You cannot create a pretend scenario that cannot exist where we can know the foreknowledge of this baby's life. We
Wait,
can
do you
know
think that
that
we
at
can't
this
predict
week
when something will die?
that we can know at this week that it will die. No one knows that. We cannot predict that. You or I or the best doctor in the world cannot predict that.
In a situation where we knew, if we did,
There is no
would you say that that's not a
situation.
human? That's
There's
not
no
true. This is a
situation.
hypothetical. Well, okay,
Right. There
what's the
is no
logical
situation
contradiction?
where someone is granted psychic abilities to know the future.
If,
That is not reality.
if you're going to say that this hypothetical cannot happen, then I'm going to need a contradiction in it. Otherwise, you're just saying words. You're not actually addressing the question.
Yes, the simplicity of this is that no one can know the future. That
That's not a
answers your
contradiction.
question.
Do you know what a contradiction is?
Yes. And just because you love to use the words doesn't mean you know what you're talking about. Again,
Okay,
it
so what's
falls
a
upon the
contradiction?
prediction of you don't know the future. Hence, you
What's a
cannot say
contradiction?
that something can have no value because
What's a
I know the future
contradiction?
that it will die. You don't know the future, so you cannot say that.
What is a contradiction?
I'm not going to argue the semantics of contradictions.
Because you don't know what it is.
So
Because there is no
I
contradiction in
do
my
know. Okay, yeah,
hypothetical.
I don't know. I don't know what contradiction is. I don't
Yeah,
know what
tell me what it
contradiction
is.
is. I don't
Just
know
tell
what
me
it
what it
means
is.
to contradict. And that means
Just
that abortion should be made legal. I don't
I
know that
never
a
said that.
contradiction
It's
is
funny
saying
because
one
I
thing and
never said
then
that. You keep giving me positions that I
I
just
don't
never
know that
said.
contradiction believes believing one thing and then going against that belief. I don't know what contradiction is.
Yeah, a
I'm that
contradiction
dense. I don't know what it is. Please bless us with
it's
your knowledge.
yeah, so it's the affirmation of a proposition and its negation.